Hello, welcome back Super Recaps. I'm going to describe the movie Knock Knock today. Watch out for spoilers ahead, before that make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. A lovely family is seen in the opening images of the film. Then, we watch as Keanu Reeves' portrayal of Evan plays around with his wife in bed before their two kids come in to wish him a good Father's Day. Evan must remain at home and work while his wife, Karen, and children will be traveling for the weekend. A family friend named Louis delivers some books that Karen had printed. Before the family departs to travel to the sea, a statue is delivered for the garden. Evan and their dog remain at home by themselves. They depart by car for a relaxing weekend. A significant thunderstorm occurs that night. Evan is working on his computer and listening to music at home by himself when his family calls him on FaceTime. While he is back at work constructing a house and smoking, you get the sensation that someone is gazing inside. At that moment, the music stops and he hears a knock at the door. When he opens the door, he is greeted by two beautiful young women who ask for a family name he is not familiar with. They say they were dropped off by a taxi and that they are now lost. He then agrees when they ask to use his computer. Once inside, he goes to get them an iPad and some towels to dry off. Janice utilizes the iPad as Belle introduces herself. Evan appears unaware of Belle's flirtation with him, but it happens quickly. They claim the address they were looking for was miles away, so Evan called them a 45-minute Uber. They requested to put their clothes in Evan's dryer, and he hesitantly accepts. When he returns, they are dancing to music and playing with the family dog named Monkey after he has put their clothing in the dryer. Evan informs the girls that he was once a DJ and that he is currently 43 years old. Before the ladies come in for a hug and make him feel awkward, he tells them his family is now away. Whilst inspecting all of Karen's sculptures, they gaze at a photograph of her. The flirting continues and Belle quickly shifts the topic of conversation to how he must do it constantly with his wife. While the Uber is still 20 minutes away, Evan tries to brush off the flirting. Being alone isn't natural, in the opinion of Janice and Belle. They claim to be both flight attendants and tell Evan so. Evan starts to fall for their flirty behavior with the Uber only 5 minutes away. Janice visits the restroom. Evan is instructed by Belle to play a different song. Evan's attention is pulled to her as she begins to dance provocatively. She dances for him as he begins to flaunt his DJ abilities. Evan is led into a dance by Belle as she exclaims to him how much fun they are all having. As she approaches him for a kiss, he abruptly pulls away. Just as the Uber come, Evan grabs their clothes, and as he gives them the clothes, they are both waiting for him in the shower. He repeatedly tries to stop them from touching him, but eventually succumbs to their seduction and ends up sleeping with them both. Evan wakes up in the morning to find his wedding ring on the sideboard and unread messages from his wife. He hosts to track down both Janice and Belle. They are acting very childishly and making breakfast in his kitchen when he comes at them in a rage. They're still acting like kids and calling him daddy, and the kitchen is a mess. He answers a call from his wife in the garden, while Belle and Janice try to divert his attention. He storms back inside in anger and tries to convince both of them to leave. Belle continues to seduce him while he is attempting to persuade them to go. He waits outside for both of them, but they never arrive. He sees that they have harmed his wife's statue. They inform him that they are both only 15 years old and that if he phones anyone else, they would label him a predator, threatening him with a minimum sentence of 15 to 20 years in prison. They claim to have lied to him about being flight attendants. He tries to bribe them to go, but when he asks whether they are hookers, they refuse. A family friend named Vivian arrives, but he forbids her from entering. Janice then emerges while stroking him. She storms out in rage. Back inside, Evan is furious and tries to compel them to leave. As he begins to choke her out of rage, Janice tells him he doesn't have it in him as he releases her. Janice hangs up the phone when Evan dials 9-1-1 asking for a ride. He drops them off at what he thinks is their home after a bizarre car ride. As soon as they exit the vehicle, he drives off, and they don't enter the house but walk away. Evan tries to forget what happened the night before by tidying up his family's home as if nothing had happened. He completes his house cleaning and goes back to work. He investigates after hearing a noise and becomes anxious. He notices a family photo on the floor damaged. Janice then uses a sculpture to hit him in the back and knock him out. He is restrained to the bed. Janice is applying her makeup as he awakens. He claims to be a good man, but he is unable to escape. Belle joins him and addresses him as daddy while wearing his daughter's school clothes. She stands over him without her underpants on. He requests to be released when Belle declares her love for him, but Janice does not. He cannot set himself free. He keeps pleading for release. Janice writes it was not a dream on the mirror. As Belle slaps Evan, it's then they hear his phone, which has been under him. They pick up the phone to see Evan's wife trying to FaceTime him, but they agree to not answer the phone if he agrees to sleep with Belle again. As Belle is sleeping with Evan, who is restrained to the bed, Janice disappears. Somehow Evan frees himself and knocks Belle from top of him. He then goes after Janice, who is eating cake. As he strangles her, she stabs him with a knife and Belle joins them, and they then tie Evan to the chair and pretend to play a game. Then they torture him with noises that nearly damage his hearing. He is still being questioned about his penalty, including whether or not he should go to jail or die. He does not respond. When Lewis arrives at the door, they conceal Evan and let him inside while pretending to be making a music video, which Lewis actually thinks is happening. Lewis discovers the sculpture to be broken and painted when he heads outside to get it. They inform him that vandals broke in and he begins to panic and wants his inhaler. They then begin to make attempts at Lewis. Lewis hears Evan, and as he goes to untie him, the sculpture is being destroyed by them. But his inhaler has been seized, leaving him unable to breathe. He stumbles and breaks his head open as he tries to get it back. Both Belle and Janice can't stop giggling after killing him. As Evan observes, they transform Lewis's body into a sculpture and pretend to be Evan, sending Lewis a letter warning him that he would be killed if he sleeps with his wife once more and advising him to flee. Lewis's body is subsequently loaded into his own van. They then want the game show to go on. They accuse him of being a terrible guy for sleeping with them and claim that he is unworthy of his family. They tell him that given what he did, he deserves to die. He grows irate and begins to hold them accountable for what transpired. He claims they seduced him despite his efforts to be a good guy. Belle then once more addresses him as Daddy before they inform him that he will be executed at dawn. Then, in the backyard garden, Belle and Janice begin to dig what appears to be a grave. Evan notices his iPad while watching and reaches out to grab it. He attempts to call his wife using voice control. They come back and toss it in the garden as it begins to call. They then confess to spying on Evan the night before they showed up at his residence. They change into fresh attire and obliterate more garden statuary. They continue to act like children while destroying the house, cutting off his hair, and passing the time quickly. They later discover a pistol in a statue. Janice asks Belle to release Evan's tie. Janice responds that she wants to play hide and seek when Evan asks what they want. If they discover him, they will kill him, but if he makes it 90 minutes until daylight, they will depart and he will live, they assure him. They move from room to room looking for him while they search. Evan attempts to exit the house but trips and is caught. A broad image of the estate depicting its serene beauty during the morning is shown. Before cutting back to Janice and Belle lowering Evan into the grave they had prepared for him. As they fill the hole, they raise him so that only his head is visible, his chin above the surface. When he begs, they take off his gag. They advise him to phone his family and explain what transpired. He nods and prepares to leave a message, but he shouts for them to dial 911 instead. They reinsert his gag. As they prepare to strike him over the head with a large statue, they deliberately miss him as they slam it down. They laugh as he is terrified and sobbing. They assure him that he is not their first victim and that it is simply a game. He is informed that they are not murderers. They tell him they expected him to be the first to decline, but he didn't. They inform Evan that they are 22 as they go and display his phone. There is a video of him sleeping with them both that he posted on his social media. Before Belle and Janice depart, they take the dog Monkey with them and left Evan as he watches the video of him sleeping with the girls. The movie is over. Evans's wife and family arrive home to see everything. The house is wrecked and completely damaged. To receive new movie recaps, just like, subscribe, and click the bell icon.